Boom, 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 ba da da da, ba da da ba ba ba. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest. Okay, please stop tangling the cords. That would be appreciated. Thank you very kindly. I do think I should look at the possibility of mounting this on another stand. Should I do an arm or something else? I'll figure it out. I'm just playing with it right now. All right. So, took me a minute to hop on here because, admittedly, I was in the midst of doing some brainstorming about things coming up that I was like, I should set this aside to go do the live video. And then I'm like, I could do this for the live video, but like it seems sort of, disorganized and scrambled in my head. So I do apologize. I had been debating whether or not I wanted to do this on video or before video and talk about it afterwards. So I figure why not just do it with you here? So that to me makes sense. So when I talk about planning the upcoming weeks, one of the things I need to really clarify is like the upcoming rest of this week is uploading videos to a roving jack of the Maker FX in Florida. The uploads for this week for this channel should be, I did a taste test I think I did it Monday, barely by Monday. And then Wednesday, which is tomorrow, I'm hoping to get a video uploaded about a book I read. So a review of the book, and then subsequent to that, I think I'm going to do a game, like a board game analysis or review. And then next week should be another taste test, and then it'll be a movie and a computer game, I think. Let's see, where does that put us? So next week will be a taste test, a movie, a video game, and that'll be it for this month on here, except for I also need to see if I can do a breakdown of my attempt at animation this month, and then hopefully by the end of the month have an upload of the animation that I made. So that's for this channel. The Roving Jack channel should be the rest of Maker FX this week, and then I believe it's Mobile, Alabama after that. And then, so on the week of the 25th to the 29th, I don't think I have enough for 5 days of content for Mobile, Alabama, but they will get that week. And then moving forward, after Mobile, I believe is Texas, which is one that I remember a little bit fondly. And that would be the first week of February. But I also have Opportunity Forge to get up and off the ground. So I have the videos of the donut eating brain dead project that I did. And I have the videos of the exercise routine stuff that I did that I can do a little bit of editing on and sort of narrate over top of that. But I also want to do a kind of intro to the channel for those who aren't subscribed, an intro to the channel for those who are subscribed, and an overall start video for the channel. Basically stating like what it is I'm hoping to do and where I'm hoping to go with that. So those those would get my 3 main channels up and running. As far as the podcasts go, I feel like setting that time up to be something I launch with April, either the beginning of April or the end of April. I think one of the things we talked about with the podcasts, the interactive podcast games that I was talking about before, was the fact that there's a limit on how much I can upload to each of the podcast service sites before I hit the wall on what they'll let me do. It's like your free account can only store 1 hour's worth of content or some such thing. And if those limitations are kept in place, I would do the total amount that I can fill that up with, and then with the frame of reference of anyone I think is worth pursuing further personally, I may pull the ones that are up there down and move them over to another way of making them available while making a new set to post up on the podcast. Now, one of the things I thought about doing was shunting some of that over to YouTube, but I also think it's possible now, as we looked at the Teespring, one of the things they offer the ability to do, and this is, I think we mentioned this one of the last times we were on here, sometime in the last week. Okay, how did we crash everything? That's not useful. So digital products include audio files that you can purchase and download. Now, I believe I can set them at 0 or negligible cost. I'm not sure if 0 is an option. I mean, it's set to 0 when you start. I can fill out. I'm looking at it right now. Digital audio file. Yeah. Leave me alone. I don't need you to worry about it. Why is there a Teespring? Okay, so naming the URL for the download of the audio is a thing I can do. Product description, interactive podcast game, public visibility. I could pull an audio file onto here and just do a test run, but let's see. Public visibility. Select the maker. Who made this content? I made it. Public visibility, interactive podcast game. URL. Customize your URL for your digital product. Share this link to direct users to your listings. Okay, so I think, okay, so podcast test. Okay, I can't put a space bar in there. Okay, that'll do. Audio file. Upload images to showcase your digital product. Let's upload. Come on. Show all files. Let's just do a stupid picture. It's a picture of the pomegranate that I taste tested a little while ago. Okay, and then upload file. Show files. That's not a really user-friendly feature there. Music? No. Pictures? No. Okay, let's do, I think I have Audacity on here. So let's pull up a little bit of that. Oh, I probably can't do it while I'm recording. Okay, yeah. The microphone running while I'm doing my video upload live stream probably is going to be an issue. But we'll give it a go. It seems to be going all right. Hopefully it's going all right with the live stream. When I went to okay, feel much better. Not getting tested. Yeah, it was sort of expensive, but theoretically, if you have like I forget just, are you retired? If you're retired, you should be potentially on, I think it's Medicare or something like that, and I believe Medicare completely covers those costs. It's one of the things I had to spend some time thinking about, but yeah, okay, so no test. I believe, and this is, you'll have to check for your area, but Medicare can cover the antibody testing for after you've had it and the swab test if you currently have it. They should cover both of those things with no copay if your setup is valid for the right amount. I don't know about your area. When I had to go do it, I went to a local urgent care that was marked as a local testing site, and I went into the urgent care, and it was like a 2-hour wait, and they said I had to get them the specific information about my Medicare numbers by the next day, or I'd be charged $115 for one test. And if I wanted a rapid test to get back to work early, they would do the rapid test, and that would cost me an extra $100 or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not paying $200 for anything right now. Yeah. Yeah, so as long as you're recovering, just keep on top of it, I guess. As for, the projects that I'm working on, I got Audacity running there for a bit, so let's hit stop on that. File, save. That whole thing that I recorded just said I recorded there. So save project as okay. So export as dork. Export as MP3. Name it as testing podcast sales. Okay. And save. That should be in the Audacity folder. Okay. Yeah, don't be a dork about it. Exporting with standard preset. Looks like it may have worked. So upload. What I'm trying to do, if I wasn't clear about it, is I'm trying to do a. Where is it? I'm trying to do a test run of what it would be like to make a product, an audiophile product, available on Teespring that I could then sell. So what I would end up doing with the audio podcasts, would be to upload them to the podcast server until I hit the limit of what I can have on those servers. So like, what's the one that was that's I think it's Podomatic or something like that, or things like that, or SoundCloud. If they have a limit on how much I can upload on those servers, when I hit that limit, the idea of pulling the old ones off to make room for new ones is sort of the goal. But the old ones that I pull off, if I want to compile them as something that's available for people to get access to, I might be able to upload them to Teespring as a digital product, audio file, purchasable thing. What I'm testing right now is finding out if I can price it at $0. So I made it. Okay, everything else seems to be done. Okay, everything else looks good. Can I walk out of here with that as my listing? How do I have to set it at, do I have to set a price is the question. No profit. What's the point of profit? I forgot. I think it was like 15 cents or something like that. Or no, it was like 50 something, wasn't it? Yeah. 48. 4 cents profit. Okay, so it looks like I'd have to charge at least 45 cents for the audio file to be able to list it for sale on Teespring. Okay, so that's all I needed to know. So I would have to charge something. There's no way to do it for free on Teespring. So audio files, I would feel like at that point it would be worth it to do like a bundle of an hour's adventures. Like if I do like the 5 different types of audio games that I came up with, I don't imagine I will carry all of them forward. A couple of them, specifically, I'm thinking in my mind that the ones that were like the good or bad sound one, and the can you guess what this sound one? You know, where the one that was good or bad is like you set up a question and then you ask the player to choose left or right channel. Which one do you think is going to be the good sound and which one's going to be the bad sound? Get ready, pick. And then they switch over to using one of their earphones and they find out whether or not they made the right choice or something to that effect. That's one of these types of games that I was making. The other one was a taking a sound and twisting it and bending it so that you can slow it down or speed it up or otherwise warp it. And then ask people, which of these 2 ideas is this sound? And you tell them whether they're right or wrong. That one and those 2, I think I will fill up the buffer of how far I can fill up that project, and then I'm going to stop them. Because that's the sort of thing that pretty much anybody can do. And like there's a limit to how interested I am in doing that. I'm interested in exploring it and giving it out as an idea that other people can then produce. Sort of like on Reddit, they have the 50-50. It's the, is this a good video or a bad video? Like once that idea came up, people started making their own and posting them. That's sort of what I'm like. If other people want to do the same thing with audio files, go to town. The SoundCloud, I don't know if there's a limit on SoundCloud about how much I can post. But that one is the one that's supposed to be if I remember correctly, that's the one that allows you to use the number keys to jump to different points in the audio file. And so that's a very specific sort of choose your own adventure video audio file that I'm looking to upload. There are two other types of audio file game that I wanted to construct. Those and the SoundCloud one might be the ones that I maybe go forward with. I won't even guarantee all the other ones that I'd go forward with. I feel like it'll probably end up being 3 of them, maybe even 4 of them get filled up, because one of the other styles that I was talking about doing was the monster one. You tell a story and you ask the listener if they think that's a true creature or a made-up creature. And that one could be fun to do a certain amount of. And if there's interest, I may pursue it further. The sort of linear 2-option SoundCloud files, I feel like I might pursue a few more of those. That one was more along the lines of being able to do that kind of corn maze that we talked about for Halloween. And then there's the third option, which is a little bit more of a involved, complex, choose your own adventure style audio file. That, of all of them, I think is the one I'm more likely to make more of as I go forward. So if I had to choose just one to keep going forward with, that would be it. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm facing some of this trouble. But YouTube now has chapters, and you can set a chapter at the bottom. You can set chapter listings at the bottom of your video. And you can see them on some videos that are out there where somebody says, like, my top 10 list for whatever, and like 1 through 10 are separate chapters that will have a chapter title, and they'll enlarge when you go over that chapter, and then decrease when you go to the next chapter, and the next chapter enlarges. That is a possible mechanism for doing choose your own adventure on YouTube. But part of the appeal for doing like something like that on YouTube would be if I could do animations for the background video or those types of things. And I have some projects that I started when we had annotations to be able to use video features, like puppet shows or computer animation stuff. Like, I would totally get behind that. And now that I have a copy of RPG Maker MV, I may very well be able to use it to shoot scenes that I can record and use as the animation or aspects of my animated choose your own adventure YouTube videos. So that's a possibility of going forward with some of that. The audio adventure, though, was meant to be audio. Like, people don't have to have video or functioning eyes to be able to play the games. And that was sort of part of the point with that. But the other aspect of what appeals to me about doing this approach is the idea that if I hit a limit on what I can store for my audio adventures on a particular podcast provider, I can always transfer backlog, like the previous 5 to 8 audio files, over onto a single download collection on Teespring that you could pay $1 for, and you'd get like 5 to 8 games that you can, interactive audio games that you can play. And that I can set those up to say, like, I'm doing these audio games to be playable for people who do not have visual abilities or something to that effect. Then 90% of the proceeds of these audio games can go towards the American Association for the Blind or something like that. I'm totally down with doing that. I would totally happily do that. And that makes it possible. Now, could I upload them for free to YouTube with a simple, like, slight motion animation still frame, where the logo of the channel has this sort of swirling rainbow behind it, and that's the only thing I put up? I could probably do that. I don't really necessarily want to do it that way, but it's a possibility. Yeah, so that's, I'm thinking that it makes sense right now to focus on my 3 YouTube channels that I'm trying to keep up and running and filled with stuff. And then the podcast, maybe I'll start getting that going when we get to the point of I can step away, at least maybe even just part-time step away from my job, and use the time I would be otherwise spending there to work on those projects as a part-time job. So like my audio games would be given the attention of a part-time job at that point, rather than a side project that I'm just trying to do. And that's like it's one of the formats of the choose your own adventure style that I came up with, was trying to figure out how to get around the fact that they got rid of annotations. You can do it on YouTube and you can do it on SoundCloud. There's a feature, if you were to go watch another video, any video on YouTube after we're done here, if you go watch this video and hit the 1 key, it'll take you to 10% into the video. The 2 key will take you to 20% into the video, and so on. What that gives you is essentially 9 jumping points. So if you plan out your recordings appropriately, you can say, do a read through of a segment and say, okay, if you choose option A, hit the 5 button on your keyboard and it'll take you to the next part. If you choose option B, hit the 3 button on your keyboard and it'll take you to the next segment in your story. Now, the hurdle with that is you have to sort of limit the number of choices to 2 in most cases. Sometimes you can squeeze a 3rd choice in there, but the issue is it gives you 3 layers essentially that you can do. Your first introductory chapter with 2 choices at the end of it. Those 2 choices jump you to option 1 or 2. So you've used 1, 2, 3. Well, you've used 1, 2 of your options, but each of those ends in 2. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Somebody has to end in a dead end. And then your dead ends are going to have nothing past them. So you're going to have 7, 8, 9 as options left to you. And 2 of those are going to have to dead end so that 9 ends. You have to set it up so that one of them is an ending. And so that gives you 2 splitting points that the player chooses. And that's the thing is, like, one of the ways you can do that is, the way I figured doing this, I would end up doing this is, if you look at the possibility of saying, like, each segment would maybe vary in length a little bit by like 10, 15 seconds each. And so you'd have each segment start with a little waiting period, like a 1 to 2 second waiting period, so that it drops you in there and you wait a second or two for that little animation of you've chosen option B, and then it proceeds into option B. And then when you get to the end of the option B, you can elongate any video as long as you want it to be. So this feature works by percentage into the video, not minutes into the video. So if you had a 4-hour long video or audio file on SoundCloud and you hit 1, it would take you 10% of the way into that audio file or video file. So you can make a 2-minute long blip, and then that little window at the end offering you to pick your prompt can be an hour long if you want it to be. And if that pick your choice window is an hour long, nobody's going to wait through an hour to see where it would go if they didn't choose. So they'll hit their button, and from that, like if you go, here's the story of the aardvark who ate cheese, and you start off, just it's a stupid idea, but you start the story off with the introduction, and then you say, if you want the character to make this choice, hit 3. If you want the character to make the other choice, hit 5. And then you just keep that window like that, waiting in that prompt forever. And you give them this huge long wait window. But if they're 5 seconds in and they've decided they want to hit 3, they hit 3, it'll jump them right to 3 from there. They don't have to wait for that 1 hour long wait period. And if you put one of those long waits at the end of every segment, if each long wait after a story segment is longer than the story segment, you're not going to have anybody who's going to wait around and let it file through the options. They're going to pick a key button to jump them. Now, yes, it unnecessarily makes a huge long video or audio file that doesn't need to be that way. But it is definitely an option. It's more an option for YouTube. I don't think you would want to load a SoundCloud video that's a lot of dead air. But I mean, it's definitely there as an option, and it's a neat little trick where it's like that inclination of somebody trying to break the game by not choosing and making it do something that otherwise it shouldn't do. Like if you make that an impossibly long wait for them to do that, it's going to end up being played the way you want it to be played. I like that option. That capability is a cool capability. It's somewhat complicated by the fact that you only have the option for the player to choose something twice during your gameplay. So start the story, make a choice. Go to the part of the story that follows your choice, make another choice at the end of that one, finish the story. That's what you get. You get 2 choices during gameplay. And so you have to build your games around like the 2-choice model. Now on YouTube, the other option available is to not use the number keys. I mean, you could do some that are number key based, but to not use the number keys, but to use the chapters. Because here's the thing, as far as I know, you can put 52 chapters in a game, in a video. And if you use 52 chapters, all you really need to do is label each chapter in the description box with time signature keys with a distinctive option. Say option the name of the choice. Like the Aardvark puts on its jetpack. You know, that's the option that you're choosing. Then you label the piece that you're going to next as that title. Now, what you need to do at that point in the YouTube video would be to say at the end of an individual chapter, again, you can do these long chunks and say at the end of the chapter, if you choose option A, go to chapter this, and you can use a little visual effect in the video to highlight the chapter section they should click on with the right color or a shape. So you would have, say, like at the end of chapter 1 where the Aardvark is confronting an issue, you have, if you think this should be the choice, then you go to section A and you put a yellow triangle with an A in it, or Aardvark's jetpack, as the title. Then on the bottom near where the bar should be during the video, you can highlight the section they're supposed to go to with that yellow triangle and name the chapter Jetpack. And you can, and if you do it that way, you can do 3 to 5 options at the end of every chapter. And you can jump from the very first chapter all the way down to the 7th chapter in the list by indicating where they should go to play it. Now this is a visual element, and it changes it a little bit from an audio gameplay directly to a, you have to be able to visually interact with the chapters. But I do feel like that is definitely a way you could do a full-blown choose your own adventure video on YouTube. But at that point, like we're stepping away from the audio adventure games and stepping directly back into doing a video game. And if we're going to do video games, then I'm probably going to want to do a little bit more of like the animation style or the puppetry or a live action recorded video or something like that that we can put together. And that's a whole different genre of play from the podcasts. Now, there is a question in my mind at a certain point. Does it make sense to make those available as digital purchasables on Teespring? Or do I just leave them up for play on YouTube? Because, I mean, it looks like on Teespring, they do have the option for other digital products, which I believe would include video, because they do seem to accept video formats. So it's possible to do something like that, I guess. I would have to, I mean, a lot of this stuff feels like I would have to contact directly Teespring support to help figure out how to make that all possible. Because I think it's a really good idea to explore, and I would be willing to bet you they'd be very interested in seeing what we could do with that as an option. But I don't know. Like it feels like it's a little bit wrong to pull those off YouTube and make them for sale. And I'm not even sure if I were able to do, I don't think you could preserve the chapters function off of YouTube. And that's the other reason I'm a little hesitant to invest in it heavily. If this is a feature that in 2 months' time they go like, well, not a lot of people are using it. We thought more people would use it, so we're going to get rid of it. Then I don't want to play that game again. Like, we had that issue with annotations, and they screwed me out of that one. So I'm not going to invest the time in writing a script and get started recording only for them to pull it out from underneath me. I just don't want to do it. So I'm gonna, I'll hold off on that one for a little bit, but there is potential possibility in doing something similar with a downloadable video for sale. No, for the YouTube jumping, like literally, the amount it jumps is based off of the total length of the video. So 10% is 10% from the whole length of the video in. And 20% is basically it's from the beginning. If you have a 1 hour long, if you have a 100-minute long audio file or video file and you hit 10, it'll go exactly 10 minutes in. If you have that 100-minute long audio file and you hit 20, it'll jump to 20. There is no 25 option. It's literally number keys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 0 takes you to 0% of the video or audio file, which means it jumps you back to the beginning. That's how it jumps around. It would be interesting, and there is a sort of another feature you can do with your keyboard when watching a video. It shouldn't. I don't think it would work on the live stream, but if you're watching a video back and you want to skip 10 seconds, I believe I'm always a little. I switch these around a little bit. J button will take you back 10 seconds. L button will take you forward 10 seconds. K will pause it. Now, I'm not sure if it's 10 seconds or 5 seconds, because the arrow buttons do something similar. If you hit the left arrow button, it'll take you back 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and the right button will take you forward 5 to 10 seconds. Now, JKL does, I'm almost certain they're 10 seconds. And the arrow buttons are 5 seconds, but I might have that backwards. So there is a skip feature that would take you from, if you're listening to a file, it'll take you 10 seconds into the future. I thought about trying to play with that a little bit at one point, where in my mind there was the idea of like, ask them a question, like a trivia question, and say, if you think the answer is this, then hit your L button. If you think the answer is this, hit the right arrow button. So it would do that 5 seconds or 10 seconds to the next piece. And the next piece can simply be, you are wrong. Please hit this button to go to the next section. The biggest hurdle to that one working is there is no leeway for somebody taking too long to figure it out. And you can certainly do that. I could, it would be fun to maybe do an instructional video of how maybe that could be used to work. My problem with that format of using the arrow buttons or the JKL buttons is you kind of have to set it up so that this is a short, actually the segment can be however long you want it to be. You could do a 10-minute long ramble and then say, if you want to find out the answer, hit the right button or the L button. You're not using the left button or the J button at that rate. So you've cut down the number of buttons that you're using pretty substantially. But when you offer them the chance to make the choice of which one they like, you kind of have to say, you set up the suggestion and then say, click the K button while you consider your options.
because if they don't, it's going to auto play those next features in a row. So if you say like, were Amazon's Greek characters or were they Irish characters? If you think they were Irish characters, hit the L button. If you think they were Greek characters, hit the right button. While you consider your options, hit the K button. And then if they don't do anything, it'll play, you are wrong. They were not Irish people. Followed immediately by, you were right. They were Greek people. Followed immediately by the start to the next question. And so it doesn't give you any grace period. Like literally, you have to time everything perfectly right. You have to make them pause to consider their options and then unpause to hear it. And it's a less clean, less easy format to do. But I mean, you could definitely do some playing around with it. There's possibilities to do something interesting with it, but it's still a harder way to do it than just using chapters. There is also, if you were really a glutton for punishment to see what you could do, there is also another quick key function that you can use on your keyboard when watching YouTube videos. And that, I believe, is the comma button and the period button. Move the video by 1 frame. So you can pause a video and hit the period button, and it'll advance 1 frame. And if you keep hitting it, it'll advance like a slow motion silent movie. Now, I have seen some people use that to catch like subliminal secret things left in a video. But, you know, as far as how useful that is for like a gaming purpose, I don't know. You'd have to really think hard and design a game specifically to use that feature. I have thought, this is funny. I thought about doing a video that includes sort of like an animation of dice rolling and landing on different faces, and you could choose L, J, right, left, or period or comma, and advance at different rates to see if you could catch a certain number in your dice rolls. And I thought about using it for, like, I think part of the reason we came up with the ideas for these mechanisms for virtual gameplay was you suggested possibly using the internet or computers in a board game. And so being able to build a dice roller. So if somebody doesn't have dice, you can make a dice roller for, like, somebody who's playing Dungeons and Dragons might not have purchased a set of these at a store for $7 or whatever. But you can give them a virtual set by literally just setting out your camera, taking a picture of each face on this die, and setting a different face sort of at random to appear in different frames of the video. And so what you need to do at that point is make it a 3-minute long video and set it up so that person starts the video, they hit K to pause it at, you know, an individual frame, and then L, J, arrow, right arrow, left arrow, and then comma and period their way through that video back and forth to roll the dice. Now, is it perfect? No, because a player who's determined to cheat will just find a desirable setting, say that they take their D20 video and it rolls a 19. Then all they have to do is J button and it'll take them to wherever it goes. Their next roll, all they have to do is hit the L button and it'll take them right back to the high roll. So they could totally cheat. And if the J button takes you back to a 17, you could jump between 17 and 19 for all your rolls at that point, which is kind of a dick move. Like, nobody who's playing a game should do that. But you could. But making dice videos would be a potentially fun way to just do an experiment with those quick key buttons. And it might be fun just to do that in the next couple weeks as just like a demo of what's possible. That could be totally fun to do. That would be worthwhile, just like a dorky little fun thing to do. I know some people I could probably say, like, here, have a little fun with this. Yes, I know there's a way to cheat with it, but at the same time, here's a fun little quirky thing you can have to play with. I think that would be fun to do. I could do something like that. A little effort, actually. I think I would just have to set up a tabletop, point my camera downward at it, which is a feature I want to be able to do in the near future anyway, is be able to top-down look at projects that I'm working on. And then take still images of dice rolling. And just do we've got 7 dice. So it's do one for each of the die. Each die, and then make each face come up at least 5 times and string them together in a chain of probably a couple dozen versions of that happening in different sequences. And yeah, I mean, that would be totally doable. It'd definitely be a weird video. But it could be a fun video that people could resort to just for the quirk and fun of it. Anyway, we're getting close to an hour, and I sort of wanted to touch base with some of the other things that I'm working on. So the 2 big projects, and maybe we'll do it next time. Maybe I'll cover this. What's today? Tuesday? So Thursday. Maybe I'll cover this in a little more detail on Thursday. Looking forward to February. The monthly challenge that I set myself for February was the alphabet challenge, where the projects that I'm going to be doing are daily projects, each one of them for a different letter of the alphabet. And I built my master list of options that were theme, medium, object, technique, and letter. I don't know if my hand moved off the screen at that point, but theme, medium, object, technique, and letter, each one having an option for each of the letters of the alphabet. So themes has things like astronomy, baby, courage, dream, elegance, fear, gift, all the way down to zoo. Medium has acrylic to ziti. Object has arrow to zucchini. Technique has assemblage to zellige, which is, I believe, a Muslim plaster-based artwork, I think, if I remember correctly, and then A to Z. And what I'm trying to do now is, as we approach February, pick the ones that I'm going to be doing. So I will probably review some of that next time we do a video. But I basically, like, I'm not doing assemblage for every letter of the alphabet, and in fact, I'm not doing assemblage at all. I'm favoring astronomy for my A, and then after that, I've got a list of every one of the letters of the alphabet. Like the next one is an object, the next one after that is a technique, and so on and so forth. I'm jumping around between the categories, but each one will be the category's letter that I'm looking for. So astronomy is A, book is the object, and that is the B, and so on and so forth through the list of letters of the alphabet. And I've got some of them picked out. I'm trying to pick out the rest of them so that when February hits, I'm not trying to make up my mind then. Like on a given day, I think it'd be fun to get your supplies, get prepped so that when it comes time to do that letter of the alphabet, you don't have to do them in sequence. You don't have to start with A and work to Z. But on day 3, if you decide you're going to do T, have your stuff ready. Don't try to do it last minute because you're not going to succeed if that's the way you're doing it. So I've been working on that list, and then March comes up. That's going to be a month of making music. Trying to make an album in a month. And so I have to sort of start figuring out what I'm going to do before that time comes. So that's something I'm going to have to do in the next couple of weeks too, is start planning for that. And I will have to acquire certain skills that I currently don't have if I'm going to be making an album of music by March. But in the meantime, one of the other things I'm working on is the fact that while I'm doing those things, I am also doing some video ideas for Opportunity Forge. So for that channel, a lot of what I'm going to be doing there is taking a look at, like, I want to learn how to juggle. So I'm going to take the opportunity now, I'm going to make the opportunity now, forge the opportunity now to learn to juggle and see how much time it takes me to get from not being able to do 2 balls to being able to do 3, maybe even see if I can do 5 balls by the end of it. But definitely see, like, can I get this base level of this skill into my brain and my practice in a week and 2 weeks? Is it 24 hours total elapsed time? Like, how much time and effort will it take me to pick up these skills and learn these things? And what tricks have I learned that would have made it easier or faster for me from the start? And that's sort of what I'm looking at. And so, like, in the meantime, I'm thinking that roughly there should be 1 to 2 of these kinds of things per month. I'm debating how I'm going to end up doing that. Like, do I want to do a video each week on that channel? Because I could do the learn to juggle, the donut only diet, the exercise routine, and learning intricate towel folds or napkin folds or some such thing like that. I've got a big list of things I want to learn how to do. Play guitar, juggle, breathe fire, eat fire. Those kinds of things. Like, each one of those is a different thing I'm trying to learn. And I feel like spacing it out so that not everything is going to be like, some of those things are going to take me weeks to learn how to do. And so set them up so that I start doing them ahead of time so that the video of me learning to do these skills isn't being shot 2 days before I'm supposed to show off what I've learned trying to do this. And I don't think that I'm going to do a whole lot of the eating only donuts kind of thing or the exercise routine thing. Those kinds of things are going to be one-offs occasionally. And so I'm not sure if I'm doing 2 videos a month, because like if I were only doing 2 videos a month, I could do the donut one and the exercise one for the first month, and I don't even have to worry about shooting the rest of them till later. And napkin folding, I'm pretty sure I can learn a couple different patterns in about 2 or 3 days. Juggling, I imagine I should probably at least expect to put a week to 2 weeks into that. So it's like I could do a lot of it right now, but if planning out further into the future, I want to be able to get some of this done at a comfortable pace while I'm working on everything else. I feel like 2 a month is a good deal. But I mean, we're already close to the end of January and I haven't posted anything there yet. So maybe let's see about doing that, huh? Yeah, so I need to work on some of that to get some of that up. I need to watch a movie, play a board game, record my reviews of those things, and edit some videos for this channel and the Roving Jack channel. I'm going to try to do as much of it as I can in the rest of this week so that I can feel like I'm getting ahead of it. Like I tried to get ahead last week, and then I just sort of hit a point where somebody else decided they had a better use for my time, as it happens too often, and so I got burnt out just trying to do too much at one time. And that's to keep up with everything being done last minute. Ideally, I will get myself far enough ahead that there's not such a press for time to get the next thing up. So that's sort of where we are right now. That's the planning I'm trying to work on. Scheduling, getting as much done in each of these categories of things, and where I'm going to start things and what things I'm doing when. That's like optimizing my time and schedule is the priority right now, because it's going to make it easier for me to get everything else done. I'm going to leave here in about a minute or two, because I'm going to try to get ahead and upload or edit and prep for upload tomorrow's Roving Jack video, and record, edit, and post. I might not even edit. I might just record it as a live stream type video and just upload it tomorrow. The book review, and then I think I have one more by the end of the week, which was doing book, movie, board game, more taste tests. I can't even remember what the other category is. There's just so much going on right now. And I got work to deal with along with all that. So that's sort of trying to prioritize and make them important, because like my brain is still a little cloudy from being futzed with by the virus. I'm hoping some of that wears off as we get further into the year. The further we get away from when I got infected, the more I'm hoping that'll wear off. But in the meantime, I'm having to work around the fact that I can't remember the things I was talking about doing at the start of this video. So for now, take care. I will see you on Thursday, and feel even better tomorrow and all the days going forward. Have yourself a good night too. Yeah, I'm sure the country will be fine. The world's not going to end in one day. I think if the world's ever going to end, it's going to be a slow, excruciating, painful process for all of us. On that cheerful note, fare thee well.